From the beginning, mid-March, when everyone went into pretty much lockdown, our laboratories really in each of our clusters and campuses and in our properties were operating 24/7. They really were and are essential businesses, and you can commute if you're an office worker. You can virtually work from home or other locations. But as you said, you can't replace a laboratory that you have to go to that's doing R&D in some of the most important areas, including, as you know, diagnostics and testing, which are major issues, therapeutics, and vaccines, which are really the holy grail to hopefully beating COVID-19.
One of your tenants is Moderna, which we talk about often. It's one of the companies receiving government money in order to find a vaccine for COVID-19, almost $1 billion worth. They are expanding in space as well?
Yes, Moderna, we have been with them since actually they were started back almost a decade ago. Had the opportunity to interview Stefan recently on a internal webinar, which was really wonderful. They are expanding. We also operate or own and operate one of their manufacturing facilities. As you know, they've received some major grants from BARDA, and they are one of the mission critical companies together with AstraZeneca, who is also a client and tenant of ours, and Pfizer. Each of those companies have the three most advanced, as you know, vaccines that are being tested now. And we'll see which ones have the most important able to retain the antibodies that fight COVID-19 and what the duration may be. In fact, there may be several vaccines, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, as we get through this.
What have been the costs, if any, to Alexandria in order to update buildings to make sure that the ventilation systems, for instance, are safe and that things are up to snuff in this pandemic environment?
Actually, labs by their inherent nature have many air changes. 100% fresh air comes through, oftentimes as much as 30 times an hour, whereas in a traditional office, you might get a handful of air changes, which is recirculated air. So that's inherent to laboratories. The spacing in laboratories is also pretty inherent. If you remember your days in maybe high school or college in a biology or a chemistry lab, there's actually quite a bit of spacing. We have installed sometimes plexiglass dividers, but it actually is just almost made for this environment. And with multiple shifts going on and the masking and glove work, it really becomes a pretty safe environment. The problem that we have oftentimes is service people coming into the building who might be COVID exposed, and we've seen a handful of those over the time.
Some of your other tenants, though, are in tech, and we've heard from Google, for instance, that people can work from home through summer of 2021. So there's a little bit of a push-pull. Are you seeing that at all in tenants' willingness to renew leases?
Right, we are seeing that. About 90% of our revenue comes from life science entities, whether they be biotech, pharma, major academic institutions, nonprofit institutions, all doing research, development, and commercial work in the life science space. But about 10% of our revenues come from technology. Mostly, we cater to the large tech. We have companies like Google. We actually did their very first campus when they spun out of Stanford back in 1998, Amazon, Facebook, et cetera. And those clearly have work from home policies. And if you're a coder or you're working in marketing or research, it's much easier to work at home in those industries. So we've seen that phenomena for sure.